KDP is saturated, too much competition, it's over. Now, if you've heard that, that's a good thing, right? Let's think about this logically. There's a lot of competition, a lot of saturation. What does that mean? It means there's loads of money. Now, let's take it a step further. Are there books selling on Amazon? Yes. So, are there KDP sellers making money? Yes. Is the money going anywhere? Is it coming off Amazon onto Etsy? Is it coming off onto like independent websites? No. If anything, it's growing. Amazon is just taking all the customers, right? And there's loads of money there. Okay, loads of competition, loads of saturation, but loads of money for us if you're good enough to create books that make sales. And that's what this video is about. I'm going to give you 2 tips now that will help you make more sales. And these are the things that my students are using right now to make sales in this market. There's Debbie, $4,000 last month. Gary, $200. I can't remember when he made that. That was in a day. Genevieve, $200 in a day last month. Raleigh, $100 in a day last month. And you got Morgan in April and Gary earlier in the year, $1,200. Okay, they have a book that's a buyer magnet. It's attracting buyers in and making a sale. If you want to see the system they're using, I'll leave a link below, by the way. Okay, so 2 things you need to focus on to have a book that's a buyer magnet. And I'll keep it simple, and it's very, very obvious, is the title, the cover, and the title. Okay, now let me just tell you about this. Now, you might be thinking, why is that 2 things? Isn't that 1 thing? I split it in 2. So the cover attracts visually, stops the scroll, the title sells. So think of it like this, right? Let's talk about the giftable market. Giftable market's massive. If you just create books as gifts, you will make a lot of money. I know this because my first giftable book that I did, it was a book for seniors, $12,000 profit in 1 month. Because coming up to Christmas, very giftable book, something people would buy for their grandparents, very giftable title, everything about it says giftable. I even put the word giftable, $12,000 in a month, right? Because people buy gifts, okay? So if we're talking about giftable books, just say you were looking for a gift for, I don't know, for your brother. Just say your brother, okay? So you're looking for a book for your brother. You've typed in, I don't know, goal setting journal for men. I'm just, whatever, all right? What stops the scroll? So this is what you need to think about. You need to think about in terms of the customer, okay? What would they be looking for? Okay, and how to stop the scroll. Scroll stop. This is very important. This is why I tell my guys to stick to 1 niche if you're below $1,000 a month. Because if you're constantly focusing on 1 customer, then you kind of get in a mindset of what they're looking for. You learn a lot about them. And when your book starts selling, you understand, oh, that book, why did it stop the scroll? Why did it make a sale? So if you're thinking about your customer, think about what will stop them. So if I was buying a book for my brother and I've typed in it, yes, I would be looking at reviews. Okay, we can't get around that. Some people will just look at reviews and think, oh, this has got 5 stars, it's got 50 reviews, I'm going to buy that. All right, okay, fine. But there is a load of people that will buy when you haven't got reviews, when you're just starting out. I know this because a lot of my students are making sales even with no reviews, right? So they're selling based on the cover and title. So what else? Reviews aside, think about what stops the scroll, okay? I'm thinking off the top of my head, if I was looking for a book, first of all, how it looks on the cover, like the color, the layout. Because if this is a giftable book, like for my brother, I know what he's like. Okay, he's a man, so I would want something. If I'm looking for something like a personal development book, it's got to be something bold, something that looks like masculine. Okay, so the cover and layout. So that's what I'll be scrolling for first. Looking for first. Now, there's a whole blooming saturation of covers on Amazon, okay, but that's fine. You can cut through it by looking slightly different cover, slightly different typography. So the design is slightly different, unique. I'm gonna put unique. Okay, so it stands out most. So that's another thing to look at when you're designing your cover. Look at the competition. Right, you don't want to be too far from the competition. Like if you see they're all selling and they've got blue or they've all got a picture of Einstein on it, yes, you want to use a bit of that because that's people familiar with that. So they're familiar with that, they're buying that. So if you have it as well, then most likely to buy yours. But stand out a bit. Like, stand out a bit. So if someone's just scrolling and seeing the same thing over and over again, everyone's blue, everyone Einstein, but yours is a different style of Einstein. Maybe theirs is all photos, yours is cartoon. Maybe theirs is all light blue, yours is a dark blue or a turquoise. So just stand out a little bit, but not too far. Don't get too creative, right? Okay, so a little bit unique. So these are the things you need to think about. And this all comes from understanding the customer. The more you can understand the customer, what would get them interested, what would get them curious, the more chance you got selling. And if the customer's as close to you as possible, you're going to understand them better. Okay, so the cover's job is to stop the scroll to attract them. Okay, right? We're basing it on what they can see on the cover. What's going to stop them from scrolling? So think about that. Then once you've stopped them for those couple of precious seconds, what then sells? The title. The title's going to sell. So if I was buying this from my brother, it's got to be a good giftable title. Goal setting for dads. So goal setting for dads, it's like specifically for dads, it's a good gift. Or if it's got something like goal setting for smart dads, goal setting for strong dads, some sort of compliment on the title, that comes under giftable. Compliment. Very clear who it's for, the avatar, right? If you're very specific, for retired women, for retired Christian women, they know exactly who it's for, and so they know that's for them. Okay, so we can be very clear. I'll put that here as well. Be clear and don't be clever. Like I see a lot of titles where they've got fancy titles that don't mean anything. Right? Think of it like your customer is going to buy an impulse buy. They don't know you. They don't know what's inside the book. They don't have the information you have. You've got a couple of seconds to tell them exactly what that book's about. So we want to be clear, not clever. And I would say the typography matters. The typography of the title matters, especially if it's a gift. If it looks dull, uninteresting, like it's been done in Canva in 5 minutes, then it's not gonna get a sell. And I still see people doing this now, which is ridiculous considering you can do a title for free on ChatGPT. Like a cover for free on ChatGPT. A solid cover that looks freaking pucker. All right. So think about this when you're creating your next book. Get your book interior out of the way. I would say out of the way. Remember, that can only account for like maybe 10% of the sell, right? And get good at focusing on the cover to attract and the title to sell. Before I go, one thing you need to know is that this won't work at all unless you're in a goldmine niche, in a really good niche. And I'll leave a link to that video there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.